Well, hello, friends. Thank you for joining me on this Easter Saturday. And today we're going to have a conversation around Our Lady's latest message. And to unpack this with me is Kathy in Medjugorje. Hello, Kathy. How are you?
Hello, how are you? Happy
Uh,
Easter.
oh, happy Easter to you. And of course, with Divine Mercy Sunday coming up, we just thought we'd have a conversation about the graces that are available to you um, for those who participate in this great novena. But I just thought I would share with you, first of all, Our Lady's message on March 25th, 2024. She says, "Dear children, in this time of grace, pray with me for the good to win in you and around you. In a special way, little children, pray united with Jesus on his way of the cross. Into your prayers, put this humanity which wanders without God and without his love. Be prayer, be light, and be witness to all those whom you meet, little children, so that the merciful God may have mercy towards you." Thank you for having responded to my call. Well, Kathy, lots in that message, right? Lots to share with us. And indeed, we have to, I guess, ask ourselves the questions, and indeed, friends. Are we availing of the graces that Our Lady is talking about? She tells us time and time again that we are living in a great time of grace. Um, but Kathy, there is so much we can avail of, right? But are we availing of these graces?
So, Carl, when Our Lady reminds us all the time this is a time of grace, what she is really reminding us is that there is still time to convert. There's still time to change. Because when we don't change and we don't convert, if we don't take God's mercy, then we get his justice. So Our Lady wants us to accept the graces, to accept the mercies that God offers to us, which is our spiritual life. So the priests, the nuns, today is day 2 of the Divine Mercy novena when we're praying for the priests and religious.
Yes.
And they are the people who are supposed to guide us on the way of salvation, teach us our faith. But in Medjugorje, I would say the recent message, Father Slavko used to speak to us all month of the message that Our Lady gave. Now we rarely hear the message. We rarely hear anybody speaking about what Our Lady is saying to us, explaining the message. The priest should be explaining the message to us, I feel.
Yeah. Yeah. We have the likes of Mary TV and people like that, those apostolates who are putting it out. But in terms of the religious, you feel there's been, I guess, it hasn't been as prominent on the internet as it was before.
Yeah, we'll see the message, but there's not really somebody explaining what Our Lady is saying. So that's why we said we would come today, just to give a few thoughts on the message.
Yeah.
So Our Lady is letting us know of the graces that are available to us. So she spoke this message just before, actually in Holy Week.
Yes.
Just before Holy Thursday, when we had the institution of the Eucharist, the Last Supper that Jesus, the Holy Mass, that Jesus is there for us every day at Mass.
Yeah.
Our Lady talks about being united with her Son, in his sufferings. So that's the Holy Mass. We enter into the crucifixion of Jesus every day. He's there to heal our venial sins. And I can say personally that daily Mass changed my life.
Yes.
When I started going to Mass every day, that was a huge grace for me.
Yes, same here. Yes.
So what are the graces Our Lady has? Then we had Good Friday, the Stations of the Cross, or the Divine Mercy Chaplet. So we have prayers of the Church, perfect prayers that Jesus gives us through St. Faustina or through Louisa Piccarreta. We have the Hours of the Passion and the Divine Will. People are doing the Hours of the Passion at the moment, which has huge effect for the whole world, which affects the world of all generations, affects creation, repairs for sin. This is the whole thing, that we need to repair for sin, but sometimes the priests don't explain how we repair for sin. But we have many ways of repairing for sin: the Divine Mercy Chaplet, the Hours of the Passion. Then, of course, the sacraments are so important: confession and Mass.
Yeah.
So in Medjugorje, we have the big mountain, Cross Mountain, which is the Stations of the Cross, which teaches us about the love of Jesus. And then we have Apparition Hill, which is the Holy Rosary, which is all about the love of Our Lady.
Yeah.
You know, so we have to notice these things. But how many religions aren't teaching the rosary anymore? You know, in Ireland, the Stations of the Cross are out the door.
Yeah.
You come to Medjugorje, Big Cross Mountain, on Good Friday, everybody did the Way of the Cross, which leads us up to resurrection, Easter Sunday. So we have to avail of these graces. Our Lady says we don't know how to avail of the graces, the gifts that her Son gives to us. But we want the religious or the priest to teach us how to avail of these graces,
Yeah.
how to live these graces, because we want a resurrected faith.
Yeah.
And then from Easter Sunday, we're on our way to Divine Mercy Sunday, which is heaven. We could go straight to heaven on Divine Mercy Sunday if we live the life of a resurrected life of faith, the
Yes.
spiritual life, you know.
Yeah.
So Our Lady in her message is taking us from the beginning of Easter week, Holy Week, right up to Divine Mercy Sunday, and reminding us of how we can unite ourselves with her Son in the way of the cross, in
Yeah.
his passion and resurrection. We can't come to resurrection without going through the passion. So there's so much in this message.
Yeah.
So much.
Yeah. Well, friends, excuse me, you know that we have been, again, focusing on the divine will here, but I just want to share with you what Our Lady says about those who cooperate with the divine will, about the passion itself. She says, therefore, my daughter, surround your head with the thorns of Jesus, bead your eyes with his tears, impregnate your tongue with his bitterness, close your soul with his blood, adorn yourself with his wounds, pierce your hands and feet with his nails, and like another Christ, present yourself before his divine majesty. So, friends, we can really help prepare for the sin of the world through the divine will, right, Kathy? It's the most powerful gift to us. And again, when we enter into that passion, the graces that we can receive are phenomenal, right?
Yeah, so that's the second biggest grace I received in my life. After daily Mass, the second biggest grace was to fuse my will with the divine will and to receive this light of divine will that you start entering into, that goes deeper and deeper into the heart of Jesus.
Yes,
So
yes,
Jesus
yes.
asked us to fuse with his divine will. And Our Lady said, pray for the good. Pray for the good to win. What does that mean?
Yeah.
Son Jesus, he's the good.
Yeah.
Pray that everybody will come to Jesus because he has authority over sin. He has the authority to place us in heaven or purgatory, or, you know.
Yes.
Pray for Jesus to win, but he's at Holy Mass every day. So if people are not going to Holy Mass or confession to get forgiveness of sins, you're not availing of the graces that you need to avail of, you know, to have a happy life here on earth and also in heaven.
Yes. Well, you know, friends, I just want to read out to you, again, this comes from the divine will. The Lord speaks about those who went into his passion, who read the airs of the passion. And he says, my daughter, the world has become unbalanced because it has lost the thought of my passion. And in the light of my passion guiding it, it would guard it against all dangers. When you infuse with the divine will, it helps you understand his passion in an even greater way. Yes, Kathy?
Yeah, because you're entering into sin. So he's telling you each sin that he was repairing for. And then you see yourself in that sin. And then you need a hatred of that sin because Jesus is suffering even now today because of sin.
Yes.
So the first thing we all have to do is run away from sin and keep the commandments.
Yes, yes. And we need to allow the divine will to dominate our will. That's what we
need to know what sin is, Carol.
Yes.
So the arms of passion are going through each sin that Jesus suffered for. And then we have to see, are we doing that same sin? And then we have to correct it in ourselves.
Yes.
And in correcting it in ourselves, we're correcting it in the world.
Yeah.
That's the idea. So it's a formation in prayer. So Our Lady said, pray with me, or pray united with Jesus. And we're saying, but how do I pray? Like the disciple said to Jesus, how do we pray? Like, teach us how to pray. So the hours of the passion are the perfect prayer for entering into the life of Jesus and his sufferings.
Yes.
It's a formation in prayer. So if we want to know how to pray in that way, there you go, the hours of the passion or the Divine Mercy Chaplet, because that's a perfect prayer because Jesus is teaching it to us.
I guess it's also about, Kathy, going back to basics within our faith, isn't it? Honoring the sacraments, getting to church daily, getting to confession as often as we can, fasting as often as we can. If fasting can mean fasting from all kinds of things, fasting from food, fasting from our bad speaking of others. It's really, again, stripping back all of these things and remaining humble with God at the center of our lives. Because, you know, if we take God, if we remove God, the suffering, we suffer more, right? The suffering is more in our lives. So that's what's happening in the world, is God has been removed and therefore something else has moved in, right?
Yeah, people don't know what sin is anymore. So we
Yeah.
have to admit that we're sinners. Before we can change the sin, we have to admit the sin, that we're sinners, and that we know we have change to do, because nobody is going to heaven without being peaceful, merciful. You know, you have to be in a certain state of grace
Yes.
before you're going to go to heaven and not cause pain or suffering in heaven. Okay,
Yes.
so you have to prepare yourself by getting yourself in that state here on earth.
Yes.
So
So
there's a lot of work to be done. That's what I'm saying.
yeah, so in order for us to avail of these graces coming up, friends, I want to encourage you, you know, our priests are busy. This time of year is always very busy, you know, getting through Easter and then having to remind them about the Sunday after, you know, the Divine Mercy Sunday. It may not be their priority, but I want to encourage you, avail of this grace. Father Chris Aylar also has done an excellent video on the Divine Mercy. Maybe we'll put a link to that video in the description here. But I want to encourage you, friends, listen to Our Lady's messages. Do not get complacent, because we are in a very significant time in history. We are in end times. I think we just have to look around us and see that. And for us at Being Catholic Media, we want to encourage you, and indeed Kathy, to avail of these graces that are there. Get to daily mass as much as you can. Go to confession. And of course, Kathy, if you're into the divine will, great. If you haven't looked at it, I want to encourage you to maybe consider it. It doesn't ask you to go a wee bit spiritually deeper, but it is an amazing gift for our time, coupled with the hours of the Passion. It's absolutely mind-blowing. But Kathy, I guess, again, a simple prayer life, a simple life with God at the center, again, honoring the sacraments of the church, honoring what Our Lady tells us, is the path to holiness, right?
Yeah, consoling Jesus.
Consoling Jesus. Yep.
And he's offering us this grace that on Divine Mercy Sunday, we can return to our baptismal state, no punishment for sin. So Jesus is telling us this is the last hope for mankind. We can't prepare for the sin that's there. So we're given now this Divine Mercy novena or chaplet.
Yes.
Where we're told that if we even recite the Divine Mercy chaplet once for a person, Jesus is going to come as the merciful Jesus.
Yes.
Why is that? Because he wants to be known as mercy itself, love and mercy itself.
Yeah. Yeah.
When we make him known in that way of love and mercy, he's going to come as love and mercy, because he wants to be known like that. He doesn't want to be known for his justice. He is justice. But if you take his love and mercy, you don't need justice.
You know,
And he wants us to accept these graces, to be obedient. He's not asking us to do very much, but just to believe and to be obedient. And that's what the divine will is all about, is coming back into that order of obedience.
and that's it.
And letting Jesus rest in us. He wants to rest in us, you know.
Friends, it's all about order and balance. Re-establishing, when we can re-establish order in our own lives, we can establish and reorder the world, right? And as Kathy says, it's all about that. And friends, one of the great things I have discovered about the divine will, once I started to, I guess, try to live or learning to live in it, is that I discovered this unfathomable mercy that God talks about, that Jesus talks about. I gained a greater understanding of what that divine mercy means. So friends, I want to encourage you, say this prayer. Prepare yourselves, get to confession near Divine Mercy Sunday if you can, or the Saturday beforehand, even better. If you get it that week, you know, just go, because we want you to avail of this grace, right, Kathy?
Yeah, so Our Lady tells us in Medjugorje, when the sign comes on Apparition Hill, there's no time to convert. And we
Yeah.
already spoke about this. The time is coming to an end. You know, we're within the last few years. But Our Lady's saying it's still a time of grace because justice is right at the door. So accept mercy. Because
Yes.
we don't want this strong justice of so many lives lost.
Yeah.
Feel
Yeah.
of mercy, it's been offered to us.
And you know, I was watching the of course, always on Good Friday, try to make a point to watch something holy. I always have. And I watched the Passion of the Christ yesterday, and it was so moving. But again, the heirs of the Passion, reading that too, brought a whole new dimension to it. So, friends, I want to encourage you again to consider the divine will. But if you haven't, just again, just honor the sacraments of the church, which I'm sure you do, but in an even greater way as we prepare our hearts and minds for, of course, tomorrow, which is Easter Sunday, and of course, um, Divine Mercy Sunday. Okay, well, friends, thank you for joining us today. We just wanted to jump on and share anything before we close, Kathy.
No, just a happy Easter to everybody. And Jesus is so good and has done all the work for us. And Our Lady is so good and has, you know, given her fiat to God. And they want the best for us. And
Indeed.
let's try and listen.
Okay, friends, yes, let's try and listen and have a blessed, fruitful, and happy Easter. And may all the blessings of God be upon you on Divine Mercy Sunday. Okay, friends, thank you for watching. God bless you all. Until next time, bye bye for now.